All right, so here's your chance to do a little bit of practice. I'm just going to do these with you really quickly. I want to start to show you a few shortcuts that you might know. So if you want to start using some of these shortcuts, that's probably a good idea. But if you don't, that's not a problem either. So first thing I would do for this one is I would go ahead and throw that 750 into the little half of a box. Think about what number goes in. So 2 divides into 750. You ask yourself how many times. Well, 2 goes into 750. If you divide by 2, think about 75. So that leaves us with 375. Not an easy number, but you'll see where I'm going with this. Then we say, okay, 375. What number divides into 375? Well, 5 divides in because no longer uh, does 2 divide in. So 375 divided by 5 leaves us with 75. So that leaves us with 75. Once again, I guess we could have gone with 3. So you're going to see where I'm going with this. We are looking to try and get that 25 because we know that 25 is a perfect square. Well, you should, but if you don't, we can just keep this rolling. We got another 5 here, another 5 here. And so here we are. We have our final 5 and our 1 there. So now, if we look at the square root of 750, we have a pair of 5s, and that's it. So really, what's left, if we write this out, is our final answer would be 5 on the outside, square root of 2 times 5 times 3, because all of those numbers right there were singles. So all of those numbers got boxed. So if all those numbers are boxed up, those all go inside, and we're left with 6 times 2 times 5 is 50 is 10, 10 times 3 is 30. So our final answer is 5 square root of 30. There are no perfect squares inside 30. You could divide it by 2, you're left with 15. You can go from there. That right there is your final answer. Okay. B and C, pretty comparable. Give you a second, press pause, try those out. You should end up with, if you do the work here, divide by 162, you're going to see a quick trick on this one. If you take 162 and you divide by our smallest number, in this case is 2, you're left with 81. And hopefully, you'll recognize right off the bat that 81 is a perfect square. So instead of dividing by 3, which is my smallest number, I can actually cheat and I can divide by 9 because 9 leaves me with 9. And we then right away realize, oh, yeah, of course, 9 and 9 together. So that kind of fast forwards the process a little bit. And we recognize that, hey, we've got a pair of 9s and we have a 2 all by itself. So we can kind of fast forward that process and be left with our final answer. Our final answer in that case would be a pair of 9s. So 9 on the outside and a single 2 on the inside. There's your final answer. Okay, so C would be similar to that. If we divide 24 by 2, you're going to be left with 12. Divide 12 by 2, you're going to be left with 6. Divide that by 2, you're going to be left with 3. 3 again, your only pair is here. So we have a single pair, and we go back to that 2 times 3 is 6. So there you are. Some more practice for you. Hopefully it's starting to make sense. All right, last but not least, I want to jump to some that have variables inside. The variables you really want to think of this way. The 75 we're going to handle the same way. Okay, so we uh, jump out here with our 75. 3 is our smallest number. That leaves with 25. Hopefully you recognize 25 is the perfect square, 5 and 5, which leaves us now with that single 5 on the bottom. There you go. So we're now left with a pair of 5s and a single 3. But what do we do about our variables? What do we do about x to the 4th power? Well, really what's happening is, if you want to think about x to the 4th power, you should have a decent understanding of that as x times x times x times x. So 4x's. And just like we did over here with our numbers, we're looking for those pairs. Now we're going to do the same thing, but we're looking for pairs of x's. So we have a pair there, and and we have a pair here. So what that means is that that translates into, on the outside, x times x, which is x squared. So far on the outside, I have my 5s, so 5, and x squared. What else do I have? I have the y to the 7th power. Well, y to the 7th power, you could write out as y times y times y times y 7 times. So that does get a little time consuming. So you should start to realize you can just start dividing by 2 to figure out, let's see how many I've got here. 2, 4, 6, 7. So how many pairs is that? 1, 2, 3. So if you had done 7 divided by 2, you would get 3. So you 3.5, but that tells you how many pairs you have. So I have 3 pairs, but I had one left over. This one left over still has to stay on the inside. So let's figure out who we had left on the inside. No x's on the inside. My 3, though, is on the inside. This guy right here. So we're going to write 3 on the inside and my single y. So that right there is the final answer for a problem with variables as well. The analogy that I kind of use is I do the numbers first. We take care of the number portion first, and then we come back to take care of the x's and the y's, and we kind of save some space here, save some seats like we do at the movie theater. If you save seats at the movie theater, kind of saving seats there for your x and your y. All right, so last but not least, if we jump into our last practice problem, 224. If you divide 224 by 2, you're going to be left with 112. Divide that by 2, you're left with 56. Divide that by 2, you're left with 28. Divide that by 2. So really what we're left with is 2 times 2 times the square root of 14. If you need to do some work on that, you can do so. And then you think about your r term, you had r to the 7th, which gives us 3 pairs. So if that's 3 pairs and then one left over. Okay, so if that's the case, we're going to have r to the 3rd power here and r to the 1, that 1 left over on the outside, or rather on the inside. So my final answer is 4, 2 times 2 is 4, r cubed square root of 14r. There you go. And that is that, folks. Hopefully you're practicing hard. Hopefully that's making sense. Go back and rewatch as much as you need to and go from there. But I am optimistic that you'll be able to tackle this and be good to go. Lots more practice problems here for you to try, and then plenty more on the back as well for you to do to keep yourself busy and to make sure you really know what you're doing. So I would try. I'm going to do one more with you. Let's do this one right here. The 54. Smallest number that goes into the 54 is 2. That leaves us with 27. Smallest number there is 3. That leaves us with 9. 3 and 3 again. So that leaves us with a pair of 3s. So we write that 3 out front. Save seats for x and y. Square root of 2 times 3 gives me 6. Now, think about that x term. How many pairs is that? That's going to be, in this case, x to the 3rd, because you're taking 6 and dividing it by 2. That's 3 pairs. Y, if we divide the 9 by 2, you're left with 4, but there's 1 left over. That 1 left over goes on the inside. All right, so keep up the good work, and hopefully if you have any questions, come see me for morning tutoring. And work hard, folks. See you tomorrow.